What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 7th episode of the Real Chat Podcast with myself, Justin Jackson.
And Pastor Michael Thomas.
Yes, sir.
And today's episode is The Road Less Traveled. And man, I think we both can relate to this topic because
Sure.
where we've gotten to in life thus far has really been a road or a journey that's unconventional to most individuals. And I can share with you multiple examples of how what I've been able to accomplish is not the average way and path that most individuals take. And I imagine you'd be willing to share some ways and how you've gone through a journey as well that's unconventional.
Oh yeah, definitely. I for the longest time taking those easy routes.
Okay.
I think for a lot of time I got complacent in the way I was making money, the way I was living life, during my relationships, and just trying to take the easy route.
Sure.
I mean, it kind of goes back to the days back in Milwaukee, where if I could get something for less, and I was moving on it, I didn't want to put that hard work in. I wanted to go to school, but I didn't want to stay in school to get that GED.
Right.
I didn't want to earn it. So I think it's I was worried about myself.
Sure.
What I could get out of the situation. So,
right.
I mean,
man, that makes sense though, because you think about it and I'm from Milwaukee too, and when you live in a rough neighborhood or you have a rough life, you try to come up with easy ways, quick come ups, hit a lick, so that you can remove some of the burden that might be happening in your life. You know what I mean? And so sometimes people turn towards hustling, to try to get some extra bucks, another stream of revenue, and man, that fast, easy money, it can feel good at first, and for a time, but it leads to a even more difficult path. What I've learned in my experience.
Well, more problems come with it. You end up with more problems. I mean, but you get complacent in it because it's easy money.
Right.
So it's the easy route. You don't have to work hard for it. You don't have to get up and figure out a way to get to work. You can walk right out on the block and make money.
Sure.
You figure you get up in the morning, you're basically already at work.
Yeah.
You get up, do what you got to do, go out there. But the baggage and the problems that's coming along with it afterwards doesn't even help. Who does it really help?
Right.
Who are we really helping? Because I think you said it yesterday in your sermon. You want to elaborate on that?
Sure. Yeah. No. Yesterday's sermon was really all about just being considerate of others and looking to change your environment, not just going to work and thinking of only yourself, but thinking how you can make the atmosphere around you better, and in doing so, by uplifting your coworkers and uplifting your friends and family, you're making it better for yourself, So like, for instance, how I got started in coaching, I love the sport of basketball, but I never had a thought of coaching, and until my wife Aurora had presented the opportunity of coaching our oldest in first grade basketball.
Okay.
And at first I didn't want to do it. Like, man, who wants to coach first grade girls? You know what I mean? All they want to do is play with their hair and do cartwheels, a lot of drills. Yeah, you know what I mean? But I signed up to do it, and in doing so, I fell in love with coaching, and I didn't want it to end. And that began my journey in coaching. So I went from coaching first grade girls. I applied at Sheboygan Christian, and I got the head freshman boys coaching position, and I did that for 2 years. And then we were moving to Appleton, and I reached out to a school, and I hadn't known anything about this school, and they didn't have any head opening positions, but the their current head coach was saying, "Hey, come be an assistant for me." And I'm thinking like, man, this is a step backwards. But I was like, you know what?
So were you already ministering at that time?
At that time, I was also doing ministry as well, and I mean that's a part of the journey as well in my ministry. You know what I mean? I was at that time I was only doing pulpit supply preaching, but when I moved to Appleton, I became a church planting apprentice, and I became an assistant basketball coach.
Okay.
And during that 1 year in Appleton, the school that I was an assistant coach for, we went all the way to the state championship game. And after that 1 year of apprenticeship in Appleton, I could start my own church anywhere I wanted. So I moved to Milwaukee, and I started my own church in Milwaukee.
So you went back home.
I went back home. You know what I mean?
Back home. Yeah.
And then in going back home to Milwaukee, I also got the opportunity to become a head varsity boys basketball coach.
Mm-hmm.
So with only 3 years of high school experience, and I never even played high school basketball because I got in too much trouble in high school. You know what I mean?
Right.
Only 3 years of coaching basketball experience, I became the head coach of a varsity boys basketball program.
So do you think that helped mold you more or point you more in that direction of servitude? You know, that you wanted to because when we talk about the road less traveled and taking the easy route, and you know, according to your sermon yesterday, which really stuck out to me, you know, was that, you know, Paul could have just went to heaven easy,
sure,
you know, but in a different aspect, he decided to stay,
right,
so that he could help others, so that he could benefit others. So I guess what I'm asking is, you know, by you putting that work in as a young lady's basketball coach, and then moving up to the next level, and then planting these seeds in the churches and building that foundation, did that keep you more on that right road?
I believe so, 100%. You know what I mean? My whole life prior to Christ, I was selfish. And then once I started following Jesus, I became selfless, you know, and all these opportunities I went into not expecting a paycheck. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a great saying: when you're doing something that you love, then you'll never work a day in your life.
That's
you know?
right.
And I was doing something that I loved. You know, I could talk about Jesus all day, or I could coach. You know what I'm saying? This is a new passion that I had never had before.
What you had.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And so like I went into it every single day. Now I'm the pastor. I'm the head coach.
I'm glad you said a passion that you never knew you had, because, you know, we all get gifts.
Mm-hmm.
We have these gifts, and I think a lot of times we bury these gifts down.
Sure.
Every time we get that disappointment or that setback.
Right.
You know, I think you mentioned you felt like you was going to step backwards.
Sure.
You know, but in return, it was a gift that was being brought to light.
Absolutely.
You know, that gift was coming out.
Right.
You didn't even know you had it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know, like there's another saying: sometimes a step backwards is only to prepare you for a greater leap forward. And I think that's what that was. You know, and that's a great example of it. I went from being I was a head freshman coach, then just an assistant coach for varsity. But we went all the way to the state championship game, which gave me the experience to become a head coach.
Now, let me tell y'all again. He said a small step backwards is to prepare you. Get ready with the applause. I want to hear an applause on that one. That was deep right there. You know, I mean, that came in deep. So, you know, a step backwards prepares you for a major leap forward.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. And then, you know, and so like I didn't go and say, hey, man, I got these expectations. Like I took over a school that was one of the worst schools in the state. It was ranked 487 out of 490 schools. Man. They had won 2 games in 2 years.
Wow.
But I tell you this, I worked so hard and I poured myself into these young men. And wouldn't you know, by my second season as the head coach, we became conference champions.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? So,
and that definitely helps the people you're helping, these young boys, these young men,
Oh, no doubt.
are getting to the next level where they feel confident enough that, hey, we're not just going through the motions. And I think that happens a lot where we just, like I said, we get complacent, we go through the motions because every setback, it just becomes easier to just take the easy route. I like
Absolutely.
basketball. I'm gonna show up, I'm gonna play. I just like to play ball, but when you took them to the next level,
Right.
it took you to the next level.
No doubt about it. And I'll never forget something that one of my players said at the banquet when we were celebrating our conference championship. He was like, Coach said before the season even started that we were going to do this. He believed in us when we didn't believe in ourselves. You know what I mean? And and these guys always had talent and ability, but they didn't have the right person to come and have a vision for them and help show them the way and just give them the guidelines and the discipline and the
to see further than they could.
Absolutely. You know what I mean?
And I think sometimes that's what it is that we do, and just like your sermon said, Paul saw something that the people didn't.
Sure.
Because when you talk about, the glory of heaven, this is where everybody want to get to.
Right.
Why wouldn't you just go?
Sure.
Why would you stay with us?
Right.
Because he sees something that we didn't see.
Absolutely.
So I think that's a major thing. Because I had a chance, the opportunity. I'm glad you said that it was your daughter that got you into coaching in the beginning. Because my 21-year-old son, when he wanted to start a traveling basketball team, I never even thought about it. I mean, when you say the road less travel, we traveled a lot of the same roads.
Sure.
I played basketball in school, but I got in trouble too much in school that I just couldn't play on the team.
Right.
And I didn't think that would go very far. So that was a setback that made me not want to pursue it. So I just kind of took the easy route and I dropped out of school. But when my son wanted to start this traveling team, I was all for it. So we started this nonprofit. We got the traveling basketball team going, the Great Lake Wolfpack basketball. And, I was still currently going through that part of my life where I was 1 foot in and 1 foot out.
Okay.
I was still kind of in a drug addiction, and here I am coaching.
Right.
But I think coaching these young boys helped me better myself.
Sure.
Because I realized that I couldn't be a better version of myself and help these boys if I wasn't right myself.
Absolutely.
So I decided to go to treatment and get myself right.
Right.
And I think the first biggest step that I had to take in that was to tell these kids, hey, coach isn't right. I can't coach you anymore. Oh, why, coach? Why you got it? Why can't you coach us? What's going on? And I didn't want to get into detail. These are some young minds, but I was honest with them. I let them know, hey, I got some demons I'm battling.
Sure.
And it's not right for me to coach you right now.
Yeah.
And I left and I let the other coaches step up and take care of that team. But that right there in that moment showed me that I can be transparent.
Yeah.
If I can be transparent with them, I can be transparent with anybody.
Absolutely.
Which means I can let them know, hey, I have a past.
Right.
But that doesn't define me.
Sure.
This past is what's building me to be the best version of myself and to bring these gifts to the surface.
Sure.
Which brought me here with you now.
Absolutely. And you know what? The honesty and transparency that you displayed is humongous. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people out here that'll be, living a lie and they'll just keep on because it's better for them. You know what I mean? And they don't care the repercussions or how they might not be given their all as they should, especially when it comes to young people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because young people need as many reliable, trustworthy people pouring into them.
And they need to see that authenticity. They
Sure.
need to see the authentic person that's trying to show them this. They don't need the facade.
Oh man,
you get the facade where it's just, like you said, selfish and selfless.
Yeah.
You have to be selfless enough, to be honest. I mean, you don't have to go into detail with everything. Again, young minds, but you have to be honest with yourself, first of all,
Right.
and then be honest with them. So that way you can be the best version of yourself and teach them, and then that way they see what life is hard. Life is going to be hard, but
right.
you can move on from that and overcome it. So
no doubt about it. And we was talking about it yesterday about how kids don't necessarily follow what you say, but they follow what you do. You know what I mean? And so
Yes.
you want to set the right example, and yeah, man, you want to instill positivity and man, kids are so much smarter than we give them credit for. They pick up on
They
things.
see everything.
Yeah, they hear
They hear
everything.
everything.
They be on top of everything. You'd be surprised when your kids say something off the wall. You'd be like, "Where you learn that from?" And they learned it from me. Dang, that was just
And most of this because you get mad because it's you.
right.
This is you.
For sure.
And then you got to sit back and realize, like, I do be saying that, don't I?
Right.
Like he told me just how I be saying it.
Little versions of yourself.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I can't get too. Oh man, I gotta tell a story. My daughter was at school, and she did something inappropriate, and the teacher called me up and told me about it, and at first I got mad, but then when I thought about it, I was like, dang, that's the same thing I did when I was a kid. I said I can't even get too mad at her, so I had to let it go. Then I started telling the family, and it became a joke, and they were like, "Yep, that's you, Michael." And I'm like, "Dang."
Yep. And then it becomes an ongoing thing. But I also think it's very, and as easy it is for us to do that, that's where I think we get tested as parents.
Sure.
Because now we have to figure out how to not encourage that behavior,
right?
Because it becomes a joke.
Sure.
And now it's a running family theme where yeah, that was just how you were, but then you have to sit back and figure out, I think, a way to address the situation.
Sure.
Without just being like, yeah, it's okay, that's how I was, you know what I mean? Because then they pick that up and they're like, oh, yeah, I'm just like my dad,
Yeah.
And then they build that self-confidence to be able to continue to do that.
Sure.
And because I deal with that, with my kids, I have to catch myself, like, sometimes some of the things they do in school, I just want to be like, yep, I'd have did the same thing.
Yeah.
But then I got to be like, that's not right.
Right.
But then, like you said, they hear everything, they see everything, they want to turn it around on you and catch you at that one time and be like, yeah, but that's how you was doing.
Right.
Like, why is it so bad when I do it?
Absolutely. No, it's a great reminder that we got to be better and we got to be conscientious.
You said it, be better.
We got to be better for them. You know what I mean? Because I mean, again, like we were talking about it yesterday, like, we're trying to leave a legacy. You know what I mean? Like, do you want your kids to model you? Do you want them to grow up and be just like you and make the same mistakes? Or do you want them to do greater than what you did? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We always want our children to be a better version of ourselves, not a worser version. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So, yeah, I mean, what parent doesn't wish the best on their kids, you know what I mean, and want them to exceed and go further than what they were able to accomplish. Some parents live out their dreams in their kids, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah, and then you're hard on them.
Right.
You push them so
they don't
hard.
even want to play basketball, but you're trying to force them.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the road less traveled.
Right.
I mean, we didn't get to travel that road.
Sure.
So now we're trying to push that road on them.
Exactly.
And we have to let them develop their own path. And it's hard. It's kind of hard to do that. When you know that road that maybe you could have possibly had, maybe you were so good you could have went to the Olympics.
Right.
And you didn't get to do it.
Yeah.
So now you're just gonna drive your child crazy.
Right.
Trying to push them through the Olympics.
Absolutely.
And
maybe they're a soccer player though. And they might never be a great soccer player, but you just need to be the best soccer dad you could be. You know what I mean?
You said it, soccer dad.
Right.
That means stay quiet and be in the van.
Right. Don't be trying to be coaching on the sidelines when they already got a coach too. They gotta hear you embarrassing them from the sideline.
Now they don't even want to play soccer.
Right. Yeah. You ruined all their dreams. They can't do nothing.
I've had that experience too, where I've pushed my kids very hard. My nephew, to the extent where they're like, I don't even want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Like I don't even feel like doing this, but they still love it.
Sure.
That's what they want to do. They just want to tell me in not so mean words, to just butt out and stay out of it. Yeah.
Sure.
Like I don't like it when you come to my games anymore.
Yeah.
So, but you got to be that parent. You got to be their champion for the kids.
No doubt about it. I mean, having kids is man, it's it's an unpredictable, spontaneous life. You know what I mean? Like kids surprise you with all types of new things that they bring about, and there's no blueprint on being a parent, and so like
Oh,
you're
not at all.
forced to take that road. You know what I'm saying? Because you could, like today, how you parent is not how you were parented at
Correct.
one point in time, if it was even a healthy way of being parented.
Correct.
Maybe you didn't have your
Any
both
parenting.
parents or any, you know what I'm saying? But now you're with somebody, and you guys are trying to raise your child up together, and you want to do better than maybe how your parents. You want to provide more. You know what I'm saying? You want to teach your kids what your parents didn't teach you, so that they don't make the same mistakes or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
but then you're also still learning how to put those parenting styles together,
sure,
because your spouse, significant other, may have a different parenting style
absolutely,
than how you were parented.
right.
And now you're trying to combine. So it's an everyday learning process.
No doubt about it.
And there's always that road less traveled where you could take the easy way,
Mm-hmm.
and you could just be like, you know what, fine, you just parent them.
Eat all right.
You
or
just
eat
do
all
it
the
your
ice
way.
cream for breakfast that you want, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm going to work.
Yeah,
I'm out of here.
right.
When I get home from work, I'm going to the gym.
For sure. No, you
home,
did a
I'm
great
going to
point.
sleep.
My wife, she had her mom and her dad her entire life, whereas I came from a divorced home. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And both of my parents had been married multiple times. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, like, I ain't get to see what like a true healthy marriage and relationship really looks like until I became a teenager.
Mhm.
And of course, like even when I was at my worst, out in the streets, the worst person I could possibly be, I never wanted my children to go through what I had experienced. And so my wife comes from a two-parent household, and they've been together her entire life, still together today. Whereas my parents got divorced when I was 2. Both got remarried and then divorced again. Then both got remarried, and you know what I mean. Like, so I never got to see really what like a stable relationship and household should look like.
Mhm.
And so my wife and I, even when I was at my worst, I had said to myself, I want to be with the woman that I have my kids with. I don't want to have multiple baby mamas, and like I don't want my kids to experience what I experienced. So like even at my worst, like my heart was like, yo, I want to be the best parent that I could possibly be.
Right.
And I'm thankful that I have a partner who is stuck by my side and has the same desire to build our family up, you know what I mean, and break the generational curses and just establish a new generation and family of believers.
Right. And I think that's a beautiful thing, and I'm kind of working on creating that in the moment. But I too came from a broken home. I mean, I always had my siblings, and we always rocked together. It was real close. But my dad was gone when I was 7.
Okay.
So I didn't have that male role model in my life. And that didn't come along until like my Spanish teacher. I mean, he stepped in and filled the role as a man that was being active in my life. I never got to collect baseball cards or anything like that until him.
Sure.
So I didn't know what an actual, and even at the time with him being a male role model, he was starting out as a new father. So his son wasn't even born yet.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, he didn't really know how to parent, but he was able to model off his parents. So I mean, he had a lot of good information and a lot of good things to bring to the table to show me.
Sure.
And these are all the things that I really wanted, in life. But once I had my own family, I was winging it.
Yeah.
I was just kind of winging it. My first kid's mother, her family, weren't very active together. I mean, they lived together. Her father was there. My son's grandfather was there all the time, but he slept and went to work.
Okay.
So he barely was around, and when he wasn't sleeping or at work, he was playing the slots, over on the machines.
Sure.
So they had kind of the relationship where I'm going to make dinner. Everybody eats what they're going to eat, but she was never really home either. And then we moved through life like that, trying to raise our kids where it was just partying and not really actively being there.
Okay.
So I didn't have that structure. And then moved along, later on in life. And when I ended up getting married and we had children, it was kind of the same thing. I slept and went to work, and then it became a place of contention where I didn't even want to be around the house. Wow. So you stay away as long as possible, and with us having smaller children, my older children stayed with their mother.
Okay.
So I barely saw them, and so that kind of put that divide between me and the older ones.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to now I'm getting it together, and I have a woman that we share our kids together, and we're building and creating that family. And we're trying to build those family values and that structure that you talk about.
Absolutely.
So
man, it's so essential, especially for kids to have a strong foundation and a healthy model that they can glean behind, you know what I mean? Because you look at the world today and there's so many broken families. And I think that's what leads to even further brokenness. You know what I mean? Young boys don't have men to show them how to be real men and how to, provide and take care of themselves or take care of their family and not to live a life that's honorable and righteous versus stealing and being in the streets. Yeah, you know what I mean? And even women need their fathers in their life. They need their mothers to show them how to be women, you know what I mean?
Right. They need that man to show them how a man is supposed to treat a woman.
For sure.
If our daughters don't see that, then they choose the type of men that don't value them.
Sure.
Because again, that's the selfish and selflessness.
Yeah.
When you're selfish, you're all about yourself.
Right.
And they end up with a man who's all about himself.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about her one way or another.
Sure.
It doesn't matter whether you're here or not.
Right.
If you leave, I just get another one.
Right.
And then I think this is where a lot of these young ladies begin to devalue themselves. They feel like they're not worthy, of having someone who can make them dinner, cook for them, do the laundry. Do simple things,
right?
Instead of just chasing that bag,
right? Speak lovingly to them, you know what I mean, and teach them something different, you know what I mean, outside of what they already know. Yeah, man. I think because so many people come from dysfunctional families that it only leads to even more dysfunction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the cycle continues. So no, I hope that people that tune into our podcast can see the advice that we're trying to give and just the righteous education that we're trying to provide.
It's about life. It's righteous education about life, and that's what Real Chat's all about. And being able to communicate these things, because your upbringing is different than mine. However, it's still the same.
Sure.
And we can build upon that. So I do really hope that, some of the words that we share and the conversations that we have are able to resonate with our audience.
Absolutely. And, if anybody out there, this is a great segue, for us. If there's anybody out there that needs to have a deeper discussion and take it a little bit further, you can reach us at different social networks. So for instance, my Instagram is Minister and Coach. My TikTok is at Pastor Mike Coach Thomas, and my Twitter or X is at Pastor Coach Mike.
Definitely, because like we said before, we want to offer these resources and be able to help in the community as much as we can. So I really appreciate that, Pastor. You can contact me. Our YouTube channel is at Real Chat Podcast. So that's where you can view these episodes, the full episodes. You can reach me at Justin Jackson on Facebook. Justin Jackson 331 is my Instagram. And you can also reach me at Justin Jackson 133 on TikTok. But the most important one, if you want to sit down and just have a coaching session or be able to talk to a peer, I have those lived experiences, and my email address is coachjackson408@gmail.com. So you can reach out anytime, contact either one of us. I also want to shout out some information for anyone that's trying to find their way, navigate through recovery. My producer, Mr. White, 5150@gmail.com. That is Corey White. He's definitely a recovery coach. I've seen him do amazing things with some of these young brothers out here, and he's definitely willing to help. So,
no doubt about it. And just a couple of community resources for you. I wanted to share with you, anybody that's suffering, men or women, if you are experiencing domestic violence, sexual assault, there's a shelter and a nonprofit here in Sheboygan that you can connect with. They provide legal advice. They provide resources such as food or even clothing and shelter. That's Safe Harbor. And then one other resource, if you may have a food shortage in your home, and maybe you don't even have transportation to get to a food pantry or the food bank, the Sheboygan County Mobile Pantry may be willing to assist you by delivering a box of food to your house. So if you go on Facebook, Sheboygan County Mobile Pantry, and once again, anybody suffering from domestic violence and sexual assault, look up Safe Harbor in Sheboygan.
Definitely, the support's there. All we got to do is reach out. So I want to thank you for tuning in for another episode of the Real Chat Podcast with me, Justin Jackson.
And Pastor Michael Thomas. God bless.
Have a good day.